Welcome to Marcor Studios, where here we will be interviewing different industry professionals and educating our homeowners as well as the industry as a whole. We hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to Marcor Studios. We are here today with Mike Rutigliano, the president of High Oaks in Huntington.
High Oaks Village.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
So we just wrapped up an awesome project with you, but before we get to the project we did with you, let's talk about, you are the board president. We've been working together for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
What is it like being a board president? Because you're the, hands down, and I'm not saying this because you're in front of me, hands down the best board president I've ever dealt with, worked with, most efficient, on top of it, like just so organized. I have never seen, especially a board without a third party property manager
Company, yeah.
that operates the way you do. It was, I mean, from board meetings and presentations to what you did to the spreadsheets you had to the spreadsheets I had. We were just talking the same language. It must be the finance background thing, but it was a great experience for me, which doesn't always happen. So what is it like being a board president?
Well, just to go back to the point you made, I think our background in finance probably does have something to do with this. I mean, I spent 39 years on Wall Street.
And he's a movie star, too.
And
And he was in the movie Wall Street.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. I was Gordon Gekko's broker in the movie Wall Street, the original, 1987.
I wasn't even born.
I still get I was barely born. I still get calls from people that ask, hey, guess what was on last night? I go, let me guess. Wall Street? So that was fun, but being in that environment, I think really teaches you how to be risk aware, risk adverse, sequential, orderly.
Expecting something to go wrong.
Yeah, you've got to, there's a process.
Yeah.
Now, being a board president, leverages a lot of that. Because in our community, we have 39 units, and we don't have a management company, which saves the community enormous amounts of money.
For sure.
And I have an incredibly great board that helps and assists. But, I'm a hardwired advocate. It's what I did on the trading floor.
Oh, I know.
And so whether I'm advocating for clients or homeowners, I take the role seriously. And I just think good leaders have to be thoughtful and responsive and transparent.
For sure. Which you met the...
And hands-on.
For sure.
I can't say enough about hands-on.
You met it
almost
all.
to a fault.
I think you did everything except swung a hammer.
I did that a few times.
Well, on our site.
I told Gary not to tell anyone.
I mean,
because then I got to join the union.
Gary was also the one, screwing in light bulbs and cleaning up garbage, and I'm walking around with two tears in his meniscus up hills all day. It was very fun.
You cannot say enough about a roll up your sleeves attitude.
Yeah.
Whether you're a president, whether you're running your company as you do, or Gary, if you're not willing to roll up your sleeves, then I'm not sure you're setting the right example for the people around you. And the community saw that.
Yeah.
They saw me on that hill every morning at 7 a.m. Meeting Gary. And going through that day's tasks and being available when questions came up and decisions had to be made on the fly. So the community sees that. And your employees see that.
I think it goes a long way with the employees as well to see, that we're not scared, if I got to go army crawl through an attic, or I got to go climb up on a roof, or...
Well, I've seen you in action. I've seen you do it. You're not afraid. Yeah, none of us are afraid of work. That's the difference.
Yeah, and but I think that's where it's important for your team to see that, as well as your clients
100%,
to see that. So,
100%.
But you obviously did a lot of due diligence here. Like, what was the method behind... Obviously, you interviewed a lot of contractors.
Yeah.
I only met you 2 years ago, and... you had already had contractors involved. That was kind of
you weren't first.
No,
you weren't first.
So, like, what was it as a board or as the board president? What were the more important things for you to look for in selecting a contractor and doing your due diligence properly?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really took the lead on this. I mean, my board serves as a great, no pun intended, sounding board, because everything needs to be done, with them. And they provide a tremendous amount of oversight and advice. But I really took the lead on this. And I think what happens is everyone focuses on price. I'm not suggesting price is not important. But my primary focus was on competence. Who will we bring in on behalf of the community to engage in, at least from our perspective, a massive exterior renovation project? Who can we bring in that we have the highest degree of confidence can actually do what they say they're going to do at the price they say they're going to do it? But I think it starts with competence. And, you have to go through a lot of different companies to get a feel and to do due diligence to ensure that you're making the best decision you can.
How hard is it?
Well, it depends. If you're OCD like I am, it's not very hard. It's actually fun. Yeah. I mean, in some crazy way.
Oh, no, we had fun with this one.
I enjoy the challenge.
Yeah.
JFK said we're going to the moon not because it is easy, but because it is hard. I like things that are hard.
Yeah.
But there are complexities, and
Sure.
you have to have attention to detail. And I think the biggest issue is you don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
So you've got to be really open-minded to learning along the way. And you got to ask questions. And I'm telling you, and I'll tell your audience, if they're not willing, or if you're not willing to ask the right questions, you may be missing out on things that are really important that eventually you're going to encounter down the road.
And I think from
ask the questions.
The other side of it is, as a contractor, you can't be opposed to questions and coming back and forth, because I do know a lot of companies that don't like dealing with homeowners associations and don't like dealing with boards because of they
haven't dealt with me.
Well, and you had more questions than anyone, but I welcome that. I love it, because guess what? When it came to swinging hammers, all those questions were already answered, and we already knew what we were getting into, and what we were. Yeah. The expectations were set. Like I told you from the very beginning, I was going to make the promises. Yeah. And Gary was going to make sure he delivered.
Oh, and he did.
So,
he did.
What kind of advice would you have for other boards, aside from doing their due diligence of, the insurances? Obviously, we talked about the insurances of a lot of these companies are hiring companies, and they look at a certificate of insurance. Nobody is actually going to their broker and saying, this is what I'm hiring them for. Do they have a height exclusion? Do they have the proper coverage for this? Do they have the labor law? Right. A lot of homeowners associations don't realize that if, God forbid, I didn't have the right insurance and I didn't have labor law in my policy, and you specifically as hands-on as directing the work that you were, you would have been a direct party to a loss in the event that somebody got hurt.
That's right.
The homeowners association would have actually held the bill at the end of the day, let's say, right?
Yeah.
In the case of our policy, you were indemnified where we could be able to push it back to us. Yeah. Where the homeowners association is not. And the problem is that not everyone is as educated as you to know to ask those questions, and to just start, before you even start caring about, let's decipher who we really want to use based on scope and numbers. Let's talk about the insurances before. Let's vet these people first. Yeah. And that's a huge part, because I've dealt with homeowners associations or heard the stories, and they're horror stories of the painter got up to paint the second story of siding, fell off. There was one in Roslyn where the guy actually unfortunately died a couple of years ago. And the homeowners association, I want to say it was a $2 or $3 million loss that they had to hold because the painter didn't have the right insurance. Yeah. What does that do for someone like, for a homeowner, for an HOA like you guys?
Well, you go back to being an advocate. Yeah. Ultimately, and I share this with a lot of our residents, I really feel like my job, and the job of the board, but especially my job as president, is ultimately to protect the community, of which I'm a part of. One of the most powerful things I'll share with residents is we're not the big, bad HOA board you read about. Yeah. We're your neighbors. Yep. I live across the street from you.
You're only looking to improve the property's value and improve the curb appeal.
So how do we do that in a way which reduces, to the extent possible, can never entirely eliminate risk, but how do we do that in a way which protects the community? Yeah. One thing is to make sure you accept the fact that you don't know everything. So my advice to any president or officer in a board, whether you have a management company or not, because by the way, they work for you, is to surround yourself with people who are knowledgeable, who are experts. So we have an attorney that specializes in this space for HOAs. And so I sought his counsel on a lot of things. We have insurance experts that we use. So the idea is to make sure you're getting good information from people you trust.
Yep.
So that you're never operating in a vacuum.
Yep.
Like the last thing I want to do is make an autonomous decision and then have to explain why I didn't seek out advice.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a good best practice.
I mean, you guys are smart. You went from the renderings. You went to, we had the attorney at the board meeting. Everyone was able to ask him
We had the bankers at the board meeting.
Yeah. I remember that. But now the interesting thing was the first vote got voted down.
Indeed.
And you were not happy. But you had put a lot of work into it at that point.
I believed in it.
But, that's an obstacle as a board that it's, you as the board president or the board itself may want this, but you also have your residents that have the bylaws to follow, and the residents have to have a certain ratio of a vote.
Yeah.
So, and we went through that, and then we made some changes, and then we went to vote again, and it passed the second vote, and here we were, and, we were then racing with the bank, and then trying to say, okay, well, now we have this time frame to start, and we need to be done by January 1st.
Yeah.
And, here we are, it's the beginning of September, and we got to figure all this out. And literally, I remember the funding coming in the day before we were dropping. I think we ordered material before funding even happened.
We went to closing.
Yeah.
On our CIRA loan on Friday. You came to my home. She came to my home on Saturday, and we signed the contract.
Yeah. And we started Monday.
And I think Monday, materials started to be delivered, and the teams were there. And
so what was the experience from?
Well, it was like being back on the trading floor of the stock exchange. I mean, it was mayhem, but it was organized chaos. You guys clearly have done this before. Another message I think is important for your audience is, I want to hire a partner.
Keyword.
I want to be a partner with whoever we're trusting with a project of this magnitude. Everything is relative. With 39 units, talking about a project that was well over $1 million. A project that the community acknowledged, even in the first vote, was needed. Yeah. The best thing that ever happened was that first vote failed. It failed by 3 votes. Not every HOA requires a vote. I'm glad ours does, because it provides some more ownership.
You're not just saving somebody a bill or an assessment and saying, yeah, we're doing this.
Nobody wants to deal with that. So, and by way of comparison, as an example of being responsive, of listening to the community and coming up with more creative approaches to get to the same place, the vote that failed by 2 votes last year passed in the second vote with 35 votes in favor and 3 opposed. Think about that. 35 in favor. Look, there's always going to be a little bit of opposition for a variety of reasons. That's okay. But I think it shows what can be accomplished when you listen and when you work with partners and you come up with really good solutions.
So you and I came up and I made these promises, and Gary most definitely did not disappoint me, which he never does, on delivering them. Yeah. But we, the way we strategized these 10 rather large buildings, which we had demo, and you and I had our, knots in our stomach about the fact that there was homelesshood underneath, and we didn't know if we were going to need to.
This is the unknown.
All new plywood, but we had.
Well, you guys came over and pulled off some siding pieces
prior,
at my suggestion, which you agreed with, just as a small test, if you will. We were happy with what we saw, and we didn't know what we were going to
both were able to breathe once we got that last building demoed and knew we didn't need any plywood. And what did we need? A sill underneath, one of the doors. Big deal. And I think that was funny enough. Out of the 2 years of you and I planning, I know the hardest part.
Saying goodbye.
Well, we didn't do that yet. You're stuck with me forever. But the reality is, going to 39 units and having to deal with every homeowner
Oh, yeah.
who wants windows, who wants doors, who wants storm doors, who wants a deck, who wants rails. That was the fun part, but that was a lot. That part was a lot of work. But now, what was your overall experience working with Marcor as a whole? And there were times we had 40 guys there at a time, and we had 4 large crews, and materials everywhere and dumpsters and like you said, we kept it organized.
Absolutely.
But when we kept the site clean and we definitely made efforts to make sure we didn't inconvenience everybody.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, rotating around that community, it was fun to say the least. But
it was a challenge. But I'm going to tell you something about. Well, I'll tell your audience a little something about Marcor. Your approach was unbelievable because first and foremost, you showed up every day. That's the first thing people worry about. Are they going to be there?
Yeah.
You were there every day except for 4 rain days. Now, I just want to make this point clear. We did extensive renovations on 10 buildings comprised of 39 units. We finished the entire project, siding, gutters, leaders, screens, garage doors.
Metal roofing. Trim. PVC trim.
In 7 weeks.
I think it was actually less than that.
Well, 4 rain days. There are people that can't do a kitchen in 7 weeks. So that is a testament.
I give that all to Gary.
Well, I agree.
He deserves all that credit.
So that is testament to what happens when you hire a company that has done this before on this scale and has resources.
Yeah.
See, it's all about resources. And you're right, 20, 25 guys a day. And the thing that was genius is you put a team on a building and you don't take them off till that building is done.
We close that same day.
So it was an incredible experience. The community still cannot believe that the project was completed in 7 weeks.
I mean, I can't.
I can barely believe it.
I can barely. I do this every day, and I still can't.
I mean, I feel like I pushed it along in some ways and helped because I was able to expedite things because I was on site.
Yeah.
That's the ownership
Well,
part.
and that's part of it is you did help keep that going because and that was a testament to what you did for your community.
Right, access to the buildings.
Coordinating with homeowners,
That's right.
Making sure cars were out of driveways and out of garages.
Absolutely.
And certain things that were done by you that made that possible. And that's, like you said, the partnership so
It's
important.
got to be a partnership.
At the end of the day, that's where a lot of homeowners associations, they think they're just hiring a contractor and they can just be hands off. And while if you want you absolutely can be, and we'll do that too. It will drag on the job a little longer because we don't have the access to certain properties, or we don't have certain things set up how we needed, or we couldn't get deliveries where we needed to place them because somebody was in the way, or and as I had told you in the beginning, it's construction. There's always going to be something that happens and something that could potentially go wrong, but it's a matter of how you jump in and fix it.
That's exactly right.
And ultimately, it was a large project, and I think we started.
For us, it was.
We started. I mean, it wasn't a small one necessarily for us. We are used to big volume and being able to get volume done and doing it with quality.
Yeah.
Because to us, as you can see, how many things that there were some changes along the way that Gary would, hey, I'm going to do this, and we're not big on change orders, which you experienced.
That was another thing, and maybe I'll just make one small point. I think in the partnership realm, you have to be willing to work together. And so you're right. Other than a couple of things which were clear change orders, things that were totally unexpected, there were plenty of opportunities for you and Gary to say, oh, that's a change order. But there were also items that we took care of that I could have easily said, oh, that's on you. And so that's the partnership. And it's not about the pennies necessarily.
Yeah.
So I think it was a fantastic relationship.
Did we meet your expectations?
You exceeded. No, honestly, you exceeded the expectations because I never thought you could do it in 7 weeks. And the level of workmanship, the quality. Look, siding is siding. I don't want to minimize it, but it's about the detail.
Yeah.
And your team leads, each and every, I can still name them, are fantastic. And they run the team. And Gary runs the leads. And you run the inside. And it just works.
It does. It just works. And it, there's just a level of being able to have that handoff and being able to know that that partnership, and I think when you and Laura first met me also, there was probably this wait, this girl's going to be the one to guide this big project. And there's that level of, trust that you have to build and understanding what goes into it. But I think that the fact that the biggest testament that we have is that our guys are proud of what they do. And,
Yep.
you know, like I said, you know, Gary wasn't scared to screw in a light bulb or, you know, clean up garbage.
They're there early,
He'd
they
come in
stay
the
late.
office and be like, why are your hands all cut off? And he's like,
Yeah.
I was cleaning up garbage. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you have you have 2 tears in your meniscus right now,
Right.
and you're hobbling around, but
Right.
you're cleaning up garbage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but you know what? I don't bother him about it. And I get involved and I do it too, only because at the end of the day, you know, and Ray jumped in, and it's just, we are here. We're all hands on deck. Nobody's scared to roll up their sleeves. And I think because they see it at the leadership level that we're willing to do it, that everybody is willing to do it within the team.
Yeah, I could not have been more impressed. And it was clear from the top right on down that everybody had some vested interest. Look, you want to know what sold me ultimately, before, during, and even after? I would send this girl text messages at all hours because, you know, that OCD thing kicks in. And she's right there responding. And Gary. And I never had to wait and wonder, where are these guys? You're always there. You're always responsive. That's how I treat my customers. So this was a chance to be on the other side of that and to be treated the way I want to treat customers that I service. So you guys were great.
Well, we really appreciate the opportunity, and I
Sure.
appreciate you being on here today and sharing your experience.
Where's my check? You know, Wall Street.
I mean, yeah,
kidding.
you know,
I'm kidding.
I was about to give you a job offer because you did such a good job.
Wait. Extend the tape.
I was just gonna say, if you'd like to be our next project manager when we're up for hiring, you don't even need to come
It's
in
a
for an
conversation.
interview.
You know what? Forget the check. We'll talk.
But seriously, it was a pleasure. Laura, it was a
Thank you.
pleasure. Aside from us all three not getting the color we wanted, I think that everything was absolutely amazing.
We couldn't be happier. The community is ecstatic.
That's
It's wonderful to put this level of work and effort into something, and then to have the outcome be as positive as it is.
it's a big project to trust somebody with.
Yeah.
And now, just
we
out of
trusted you
curiosity,
guys.
and I appreciate that opportunity and the faith that you had in us. One last question that is important. When it came to pricing, you obviously had a couple of contractors. Would you say we were kind of high, low, medium, like kind of in the middle of where the pricing was?
I found your pricing to be competitive. And then, again, and as a credit to you guys, as I started to even try to do some more value engineering, you partnered with me on that. So I would say, you know, how do we maybe address this? And you'd come up with solutions. So I think pricing is dynamic, and you guys were open-minded to trying to make it work. I was very transparent with where we needed to be, and together we figured out how to get there.
Yeah. Well, it was a great experience, and I
Yeah, it was
really
good.
appreciate the
I
opportunity.
almost wish you could do it again.
Well, next time when you move,
Yeah.
just make sure you're the board president there too,
Yeah.
and make sure that it either needs roofing or siding, and we're here.
Absolutely. It was great being with you today.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for absolutely everything.
Oh, you're welcome.
And send my best to Laura.
I sure will. Thanks.
Thank you.